At some point, we've all heard of Atlantis, a highly advanced civilization that mysteriously vanished without a trace. But few people actually believe in its existence. But what if I told you that there's real evidence proving it was real? Mysterious stone roads beneath the ocean, ancient maps that defy explanation, and global flood myths that appear across different cultures. Could all of these be pieces of a puzzle that has remained unsolved for thousands of years? Get ready, because the clues below might change the way you see history forever. 1. The origins of Atlantis. The city of Atlantis was first mentioned over 2,300 years ago by Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher. According to him, it was a prosperous yet mysterious island nation that existed about 9,000 years before his time, only to completely vanish. Stories say that Atlantis was swallowed by the ocean after a devastating earthquake or tsunami. For centuries, many theories have tried to pinpoint the true location of Atlantis, from near the Rock of Gibraltar to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, and even as far as Antarctica. But to this day, all of them remain speculation. Atlantis was described as a perfect society, created by the gods but ruled by humans. The city had a unique structure with concentric islands separated by massive canals, all connected by a waterway leading to the center. The land was incredibly rich in natural resource. Gold, silver, and rare metals were in abundance, and strange animals roamed the islands, unlike anything seen anywhere else. Atlantis wasn't just wealthy, it also had impressive architecture and an advanced civilization. It's the kind of place that would leave anyone in awe if they had the chance to see it. At the heart of the island was the capital city, believed to be the beating heart of this great civilization. But then, in the blink of an eye, it was gone, swallowed by the ocean. What remains now are only scattered fragments of a legend that has never been fully explained. How big was Atlantis? According to Plato, Atlantis was larger than Libya and Asia combined, and was located in the Atlantic Ocean, beyond the Strait of Gibraltar. The Christian writer Tertullian also supported this idea, believing that Atlantis had once existed in the middle of the ocean. However, as time passed, different versions of the story reduced the size of Atlantis. Christian mystic Edgar Cayce even suggested that Atlantis could have been as large as the entire Eurasian continent. So, how big was Atlantis really? No one knows for sure, but if it did exist, it could have been one of the greatest civilizations in human history. Not everyone agrees with Plato's account. Some scholars believe he didn't intend to record history, but instead used Atlantis as a philosophical allegoria way to compare divine order with human nature and to illustrate the idea of an ideal society. This theme appears throughout Plato's works, suggesting that Atlantis may have been more of a storytelling device than a real place. According to legend, Atlantis was once a well-ordered kingdom, but over time, its people became greedy, selfish, and lost sight of their original values. The gods, seeing this corruption, grew furious. Humans had abandoned righteousness, blindly chasing ambition and pleasure, disrupting the balance the gods had created. Then, one day, the punishment came. A terrifying night of fire and earthquakes, a catastrophic disaster that sent all of Atlantis sinking into the ocean, wiping out an entire civilization in an instant. It serves as a reminder that no matter how great a civilization becomes, if greed and corruption take over, even the most magnificent kingdoms can disappear forever. But the question remains, was it just a story? 2. The Bimini Road. Although Atlantis was first mentioned by Plato, it wasn't until the late 19th century that the fascination with rediscovering the lost city truly took off. Since then, curious minds have been searching for the location of the legendary sunken kingdom, and some believe the answer might lie in the Bimini Road. In 1968, a strange discovery raised many questions. Off the coast of the Bahamas, divers found an underwater road, a series of massive stone blocks arranged in a straight line, as if they had been placed there intentionally. Some scientists argue that it's just a natural formation, but others believe this could be the pathway to Atlantis. The Bimini Road was first discovered in September 1968 by Joseph Manson Valentine, Robert Angove, and Jacques Mayol while diving at a depth of about 18 feet off the coast of North Bimini. Looking down at the ocean floor, they noticed a series of neatly aligned stone blocks that resembled the remnants of an ancient road. This formation runs parallel to two smaller stone pathways, with most of the blocks measuring between 7 and 13 feet long. Not only are they aligned perfectly, but they also curve smoothly at one end, forming a distinct hook shape. Many of the blocks have sharp, square edges, though over time seawater has worn them down. The precise arrangement of these stones has led many to believe that this couldn't be a mere natural phenomenon. Could it be that the people of Atlantis built this road? Was it once a highway leading to an ancient city? And if so, could remnants of a powerful civilization still be buried beneath layers of sand and silt in the ocean? What's even more astonishing is that 4 decades before the road was discovered, a mystic had predicted it with eerie accuracy. In 1938, Edgar Cayce, a Christian mystic, spoke about Atlantis and claimed that evidence of it would be found near Bimini. He described the submerged parts of Atlantis, where portions of the temples can still be discovered, buried beneath the mud and seawater near Bimini. This will happen in 1968 or 1969. And then, in 1968, the Bimini Road was found. This coincidence has led many to believe that the road is no accident, that it could be evidence of Atlantis slowly revealing itself. But is that really the case? Later scientific research proposed a different theory. According to geologists, especially a team from the University of Miami, the Bimini Road is actually a natural formation. They argue that the stone blocks are made of beach rock, which fractured over time, creating shapes that resemble paving stones. Using dating methods, scientists estimated that these rocks are around 2,000 years old, far younger than Atlantis, which is believed to have sunk roughly 12,000 years ago. But wait, could this really be the final answer? Some question whether this dating only scratches the surface of a deeper mystery. Could Atlantis have only partially sunk, or could the Bimini Road be a remnant of a civilization that came after it? The answers are still waiting to be uncovered. 3. Santorini's volcanic ruins. What happens when a thriving civilization disappears overnight? Santorini, the paradise island of today, was once the site of one of the most cataclysmic volcanic eruptions in history, wiping out the powerful Minoan civilization. The ruins buried beneath the ash in Akrotiri might just be the lost Atlantis that Plato once described. Could this be the key to uncovering the truth behind a legendary empire? Around 3,600 years ago, a massive volcanic eruption devastated Santorini, a flourishing island in the Aegean Sea. What remains today are the mysterious ruins of Akrotiri, revealing an advanced city entombed in volcanic ash. Before the disaster struck, Santorini was nearly circular in shape, but massive tsunamis erased much of the land, dragging everything into the depths of the ocean. Could this be the legendary Atlantis that Plato spoke of, a radiant civilization that vanished suddenly, forgotten by time beneath the waves? Santorini lies in the southern Aegean Sea, about 124 miles southeast of Athens and just 68 miles north of Crete. During the Bronze Age, the island was known as Strong Gyle, Greek for circular, and featured a massive volcanic caldera, most of which is now submerged. At the time, the Minoan civilization from Crete had transformed Santorini into a thriving trade hub. The remains in Akrotiri indicate that it was once a highly advanced city, boasting 3-story buildings, an elaborate water system made of terracotta pipes, and vibrant frescoes that captured the essence of a progressive society. The Minoans' irrigation technology was so advanced that it rivaled 18th century Europe. The eruption of Thera, one of the largest natural disasters in human history, caused Santorini's central landmass to collapse, forming the giant caldera visible today. Thick volcanic ash darkened the skies, and tsunamis towering dozens of meters high tore through the Mediterranean, destroying everything in their path. Before the catastrophe, Santorini's circular shape bore an uncanny resemblance to Plato's depiction of Atlantis, a concentric ringed island swallowed by the fury of nature. Could this be more than just coincidence? The thick layers of volcanic ash inadvertently preserved Akrotiri, providing archaeologists with a rare glimpse into a lost civilization. The city once flourished with sophisticated technology and exquisite artistry, unmistakably Minoan, a magnificent society, ultimately consumed by nature, just as Plato described the fall of Atlantis. Could Santorini be the true origin of the Atlantis legend? Or was the story of Atlantis merely a cautionary tale about the fragility of civilizations against the forces of nature? The answer may never be known, but Santorini tells a haunting story, a once glorious island that vanished in the blink of an eye, much like the waters that swallowed Atlantis in ancient tales. Or was it merely a dream stretching across millennia? 4. Similar floods myth worldwide. Think Atlantis is just some wild tale Plato dreamed up, a myth, nothing more? But what if I told you that not only do flood legends from around the world back it up, but modern science is also uncovering some jaw-dropping truths about this sunken city? Would you still be so sure? Start with Mesopotamia, the cradle of human civilization. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, written 4,000 years ago, the Sumerians tell the story of Utnapishtim, a guy who survives a massive flood sent by the gods to wipe out humanity. He builds a giant boat, saves his family and a bunch of animals, and rides it out. It's eerily close to Plato's Atlantis, a dazzling civilization swallowed by the ocean in a single night. Then there's the Bible. Noah and his huge ark, facing down a world-ending flood, go back thousands of years too. Here's the kicker. The timing of that flood lines up with a real geological event, the Great Ice Age meltdown between 11,000 and 14,000 years ago. That's the exact window when Atlantis supposedly vanished. Over in Hindu mythology, there's Manu saved by a god from a flood that drowns the world, only to rebuild humanity from the ruins. Once again, we've got this recurring theme of a civilization wiped out by water. Coincidence? Or is it a shared human memory of a real catastrophe? But it's not just ancient stories, there's hard evidence too. Old legends might get brushed off as fairy tales, but recent geological research is turning heads. Plato wrote that Atlantis sank around 9,600 BCE, that's 11,600 years ago. That's no random number. Around 11,500 years ago, as the last ice age wound down, something called meltwater pulse 1b hit. Massive continental ice sheets collapsed, sending sea levels surging by dozens of meters in a blink. Scientists call it a catastrophic rise, enough to erase a landmass the size of China and Europe combined overnight. And get this, the hardest hit area? The Caribbean, where many theories place Atlantis. Then there's the late Younger Dryas period, about 11,700 years ago. People back then weren't as primitive as we might think. Biologists confirm they were anatomically and mentally just like us. Sure, they weren't building spaceships or wielding sci-fi tech, but they could absolutely remember a world-shaking disaster and weave it into their folklore, passing it down through generations. Survivors of that hell on Earth told tales of floods, tsunamis, and coastal cities crumbling. It's not just Mesopotamia either. Native American tribes like the Hopi and Inca have their own stories of giant floods wiping out ancient cities right around the same time as that global ice melt. From civilizations thousands of miles apart, they all point to the same era 11,500 years ago, when meltwater pulse 1b changed the world forever. So, what's really going on here? From Mesopotamia to India, the Americas, and geological studies of meltwater pulse 1b, it all syncs up with Plato's timeline for Atlantis. Is this just a myth or a buried human memory? Could a great civilization have existed, only to be lost when the seas rose, leaving behind scattered stories in the cultures that followed? Maybe the truth about Atlantis has been there all along, and we just haven't been ready to see it. If you think this evidence points to a lost civilization, drop a 9 in the comments. 5. The Piri Reis Map. Do you believe that a 16th century map could change everything we know about history? The Piri Reis Map, drawn in 1513 by a brilliant Ottoman admiral, is not just a masterpiece of navigation. It might be evidence that Atlantis was more than just a myth. Born around 1465 in Gallipoli, Piri Reis was once a pirate before becoming an admiral of the Ottoman Empire. He took part in major battles, such as the conquest of Egypt, 1517, and the Siege of Rhodes, 1522, but his greatest legacy wasn't left on the battlefield, it was on a map. In 1929, theologian Gustav Adolf Deissmann discovered this map in the Topkapi Palace Library, and from that moment, one of history's greatest mysteries was born. What makes the Piri Reis Map so mysterious? This map doesn't just accurately depict the coastlines of South America and Africa, it also includes Antarctica, a continent that wasn't officially discovered until 1818. Even more astonishing, the Antarctica shown on the map is ice-free, while today it is buried under kilometers of ice. How could Piri Reis have drawn a landmass that no one had explored in the 16th century? Piri Reis himself admitted that his map was based on more than 20 ancient sources, possibly dating back to the time of Alexander the Great, or even earlier. This led Dr. Charles Hapgood, a historian and geologist, to propose a bold theory. Could an ancient civilization have explored the world before us and left behind this map? Hapgood sent the map to the US Air Force for examination, and their response was shocking. "We don't understand how this map was drawn in 1513. It shows Antarctica before it was covered in ice." Hapgood suggested that Atlantis, the legendary civilization described by Plato, might actually have been Antarctica. According to him, a geological event caused the continent to shift southward, becoming buried in ice and erasing all traces of a once thriving civilization. Geological studies have also revealed that the Queen Maud region of Antarctica was ice-free around 4000 BC. If Hapgood's theory is correct, the Piri Reis map could be one of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting the existence of Atlantis. Did Piri Reis create this map using knowledge from a lost civilization? Could this map be the key to unlocking secrets humanity has yet to uncover? When you look at its astonishing accuracy, you might find yourself asking, is this just a coincidence, or is it a fragment of truth that time has hidden for centuries? Atlantis, myth or reality? We've traced the clues from Plato, mysterious underwater ruins, and perplexing ancient maps. But this is just the beginning. Even more shocking evidence awaits: unbelievably advanced technology and mythology, forgotten sunken cities, and bizarre geological structures that could be the last remnants of Atlantis. If what you've just seen piqued your curiosity, get ready. Part 2 will leave you absolutely stunned.